Hey guys, I've got some absolutely devastating news, and I don't know how many people have heard about this or are aware of this. I didn't know about it until today, and I've actually been tracking this news and trying to see what all is going on, and I didn't really see people making YouTube videos about this. Maybe they did, maybe you guys have seen them, but I have missed them, so I'm making a video to let you guys know what's going on. Occasionally, I check to see what's going on with Deviation Games, and this is where all of our Treyarch zombie devs left to go to make a new studio. And Jason Blundell was one of them, and he was heading up the studio, and then all of a sudden it was announced back in August that Jason was leaving Deviation Games. I know a lot of us were really excited about this game knowing that our zombie devs were backing it, and so was Jason, and now he's left. So I've been trying to find out what's going on with the studio and this game. And then today I did see some information about it, and it's pretty devastating. So back in 2021, Deviation Games and Sony announced that they would be partnering together, and Deviation Games was going to be making a Sony exclusive game. We didn't hear much more about it, and after Jason left the studio last August, the studio went quiet on social media, and you heard nothing after that. Then last month, some really awful news was reported that Deviation Games PS5 exclusive is canceled, and it was based on some insider claims. The article reads, PlayStation Insider claims to have heard that the PS5 exclusive in development at Deviation Games has indeed been canceled. The writing has been on the wall for quite a while, but this is the first time we've heard from an insider that rumors of the project being in trouble weren't unfounded. In a recent podcast, the insider said that he first heard from a source about the impending layoffs at Deviation Games weeks before they were confirmed. And the same source also told him that the mystery PS5 game was canceled. I'll let you guys listen to a few minutes of this podcast. This guy talks about Jason Blundell, how he left the studio and how that could have impacted things, and how he believes this insider and him telling him that this game is canceled.
Right after we published last week's episode of Sacred Symbols, layoffs struck Sony second-party developer Deviation Games. This is actually information that was provided to this podcast a couple of weeks ago, but couldn't be corroborated until after publication. So I want to cut in here real quick. Every once in a while, people tell me things, and it's like when someone told me the Wolverine game was happening, and I'm like, that's not happening. And I could have broken that like months before. I was like, I didn't even think twice about that. I'm like, that sounds so dumb. And then it's similar things. Someone reached out to me and was like, Deviation Games is laying off 90 people and canceling the game they're working on. And this person had it on good authority. And I'm like, I just can't vet this. I don't know how to vet this, you know? And I don't know how this person knew, because it happened. It was not, I told you guys in the Discord. So there's like some sort of record of it. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Shout out to that person who talked to me. Though Sony hasn't commented on the layoffs, which apparently amount to at least 90 heads, our source tells us that the game is canceled and that Deviation skeleton crew has until December to find a new project, or they will shut down completely, if not before then. It's possible that contract work or a smaller project may help keep Deviation afloat, but remember, when Sony got into bed with Deviation in 2021, it was because of one person in particular, Jason Blundell. Blundell was co-founder of Deviation and is perhaps best known for his work at Call of Duty developer Treyarch, where he acted as executive producer on the original 2010 Black Ops and directed both 2012's Black Ops 2 and 2015's Black Ops 3. He's widely credited with being the creative mind behind the Zombies mode in particular. But you may recall that he randomly left Deviation in September of last year, a strange move for the director of a project and an ominous sign of both its quality and potential. Dave Anthony, the other co-founder of Deviation, apparently remains. He directed the original Black Ops and wrote much of the Black Ops series, so there's no doubt some talent left behind. But Blundell was supposed to be the guy, with Anthony acting as studio head and CEO. Sony's deal with Deviation was revealed back in 2021, and in reality, they've said nothing about it since. Meanwhile, two other second-party studios that Sony got into bed with at the same time, Haven and Firewalk, are both now owned by PlayStation. And since the game was never revealed, and in fact, since we never knew precisely what kind of game they were working on, since it was never said, it's entirely possible Sony never says another word about this canceled game, though you can still read about it on the PlayStation blog from 2021, where they say very little. VRG wrote in, a lot of people did, but let's go with VRG. He says, hey fellas, what the hell happened at Deviation Games? During the Summer Game Fest 2021 showcase, they puffed out their chest to announce they were making a game in partnership with PlayStation. It was such an oddball announcement for a showcase because they didn't even give a name for their game or provide any kind of explanation for it. They went on having the unfounded confidence to hype up nothing announcement in 2021 to devastatingly huge layoffs in 2023. I don't think it's that weird because, again, if you go look at the calendar, you'll note that Sony announced the deal with Haven, Firewalk, and Deviation all around, in the same era, let's say, of time. And two of those games, none of those games have been titled. We don't know anything about them other than that they're likely multiplayer service games. And two of those studios were purchased by Sony. And one of them was clearly not and got their money and their funding removed, probably because, as I explained to people last week, they must have failed a milestone. And Sony does seem to be going around, and it is that time of year. I mean, the fiscal year turned over. I don't think it's a coincidence. Media Molecule gets streams pulled, et cetera, and so on. I think all these things are probably happening at the same time for a reason. But it's been unclear if the game is canceled, but I'm comfortable saying the game is canceled simply because the person who told me 2 weeks ago that this was happening said that the game was canceled. So it's possible that they survive and do something else, but the funding from Sony, it seems like, is gone.
So that guy was saying that 90 employees were let go. And from what I was reading online, Deviation Games had 200 employees. So that's almost half of their staff. Then he was saying the crew that's still there has until December to find a new project to see if they can stay in business. And if not, they're just going to shut it down. Later on in the podcast, he said that these layoffs were mentioned all over LinkedIn. So I went and checked that out. All I did was type in layoff Deviation Games, and all these posts popped up that were from about a month ago. It looks like the layoff happened May the 12th. The posts were saying, many of my coworkers and teammates were affected by today's Deviation Games layoff, and other posts, unfortunately, some of my talented colleagues are impacted by the Deviation Games layoff today. Another post said, if you're impacted by the layoff at Deviation Games, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. They're trying to help people find jobs. Another one said, it's hard starting a week off with seeing so many layoffs from Deviation Games. It just goes on. And many people know that JC Backfire, one of our popular zombies YouTubers, was hired to be the community manager at Deviation Games. I went to his LinkedIn to see that, yeah, he was a part of the layoffs in May 2023. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is real. This is really happening. He's gone back to YouTube and streaming on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow him on YouTube or Twitch to help support him, that would be great. I can only imagine that, yeah, this was pretty rough to have to go through. A Twitter user by the name Dreamwalker had caught JC Backfire's reaction to all of this on his Twitch stream. He posted, Deviation Games community manager in a stream yesterday said there's been stuff happening that hasn't been the best. He can't say why, and he'll be streaming a lot more, including daytime. So it looks like they knew they were getting laid off, but they didn't announce it until like a day later. Here's JC's reaction to knowing about it, but not being able to say anything.
But I want you guys to know, like, so much. I really appreciate y'all. I really freaking appreciate y'all. I really, really do. This is a game that I really needed right now. I almost can't even put into words why. There's like been some personal stuff going on in my life a little bit that haven't been the best, and playing something like this that's just very calming and just almost like serene again means more to me than you might realize right now. The last time I played Zelda, I was kind of going through a lot of stuff, and I feel like this time playing Zelda, it's kind of the same. It's just there's been some stuff happening, and I don't know. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really nice. So I love you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. More Zelda, and again, we're probably gonna put Persona 5 back into the mix as well. Gonna be a lot of streams and a lot of daytime streams this weekend as well. It's gonna be really good. So bye guys. Bye. Love you.
On May the 12th, he did post on his Twitter, today I was laid off from Deviation Games. The gaming industry is wild, but that's the nature of it. I'm nothing but thankful for the opportunity and learned a ton over the last few years. One of the best groups of people I've ever worked with in my life. So yeah, if you guys want to help and support him, go follow him on Twitch and also YouTube. These mass layoffs seem to have come all of a sudden for Deviation Games. Even in their LinkedIn, they were hiring new people as of just 2 months ago. They've posted on their page multiple welcome posts to the new employees that they were hiring. And then a month later, they're letting almost half of their staff go. And there's been some speculation online that an article that came out like a month earlier might give us some insight to what could have happened. The article reads, former PlayStation boss says they cancel so many games. The former boss says that while PlayStation embraces new ideas, many of them fail. That's just part of the job, and in order to see what works and what doesn't, he explained that the company does a lot of testing and prototyping. He said, we do a prototype, we evaluate, we decide whether to spend more time and resources or we just stop. He said, we cancel so many games. While this might sound harsh or cruel, he said that he has to convince studios and developers to move or stop in order to save these devs from getting stuck on projects or games that just aren't working out. So this shows a little bit of insight of how Sony operates, and we're seeing maybe that could have happened to Deviation Games, where they were told to stop. Back in January, there was a Sony exclusive game that leaked. It looked like some really early development images, and it looked like a sci-fi shooter. And a lot of news articles online speculated that, yeah, this is probably the game that Deviation was working on. It was going to be like a type of Mass Effect sci-fi shooter. But whatever it was, it seems like Sony cut the funding, told them to stop, and they had to lay off almost half of the company. And it's still a mystery as to where Jason Blundell is, and hopefully we'll see him resurface somewhere. But let me know what you guys think about this. It's very sad. I was really pumped up for this game, and yeah, it just absolutely appears to have fallen apart. I would say I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but that's probably not appropriate, but we will see you guys in the next one.